The Galactic Council chamber was full. 1,000 different species sat in tall rows, looking down at the center stage. Lights from 100 stars blinked through the great glass ceiling. Some aliens had feathers, some had fur, others had hard, metal-like skin. All of them were watching one being standing alone in the middle of the circle. A human, Ambassador Rail, stood straight. His hands were behind his back. His eyes were calm, but cold. The chamber buzzed with noise, translators humming, voices arguing. The Varnock delegate shouted, "Humans are dangerous."
Ow!
They spread too fast. A snake-like creature hissed. Their weapons are unmatched, their minds unpredictable. The insect queen from Hive 7 snapped her jaws. They must be watched, controlled. Dozens of voices spoke over each other. Some shouted for sanctions. Others asked for war. Rail said nothing. He waited. When the noise became too loud to hear anything clearly, he stepped forward once, just one step. A small light turned red under his feet, meaning his voice would now carry across the chamber. The noise stopped. The chamber went. Silent Ambassador Rail slowly looked around at the sea of aliens. Then, finally, he spoke. His voice was quiet, but steady. "You speak of fear. You speak of danger. You speak of control." He paused. "You forget the one thing that matters." Everyone leaned in. The silence was sharp. Rail looked straight at the high seat, the council leader's chair. A long shadow fell across his face. "We warned you once. That was mercy." Another pause. He turned his head slightly, eyes meeting the leaders of several powerful empires. "We warned you twice. That was restraint." One last pause. Then he said it. "This is your last warning." With that, Rail turned and walked away. He didn't run. He didn't look back. He walked, slow and calm, out of the chamber. Nobody stopped him. Nobody dared. 2 hours later, across the galaxy, something happened that no species had ever seen before. Every human communication system went dark. No messages. No signals, no trade updates, no diplomatic calls, not even emergency beacons. Human colonies, ships, and outposts all went completely silent, as if they vanished. The Terran embassy in the capital city of Nether Prime closed its gates. Its defense. Turrets lowered, and then nothing. The Galactic Council sent drones to nearby human settlements. The drones found the cities still running. Lights were on, machines were moving. But no one spoke. No one replied. It was not destruction. It was silence by choice. Deliberate, controlled, planned. On the third day, panic began. The Groll Empire asked for a council meeting. "This is a soft war tactic," they said. "The humans are planning something big." The Letheria peaceful. Aquatic species disagreed. "Perhaps they are hurt. Perhaps we did something wrong." The Varnock, always angry, slammed their claws on the table. "Humans are hiding. This is weakness." The council leader, an ancient being made of light and crystal, spoke for the first time in years. "Send one ship," it said. "Send a scout to Earth." The scout ship Zariththal was chosen. It was small, fast, and hidden. It had stealth systems better than most warships. Inside it were 6 of the Council's finest explorers, species from across the galaxy. Captain Solron of the Athari led them. He was logical, careful, and curious. Not a warrior, but a thinker. As the ship entered soul space, they saw no defense ships, no warning signals, just empty silence. "Maybe this is a trick," whispered Dran, a soft-skinned creature from the rim. Worlds, Solron narrowed his eyes. "We're not here to fight. Just to observe." As they passed Mars, something strange happened. Every system on their ship slowed down. Just by entering the system. "We're being scanned," said the pilot. "By what?" Nothing appeared on sensors. And then finally, a message. One line. "Text only you. We're told to stay away." That was it. No signature, no name, no threat. But the meaning was clear. "Should we go back?" asked the insectoid engineer. Captain Solron shook his head. No, not yet. We go closer. The ship moved toward Earth's orbit. From space, the blue planet looked the same. Beautiful. Calm. But their ship began shaking. Slowly at first, then harder. Shields up. Someone shouted. Too late. The lights went out. Engines died. No weapons. Worked. The Zareth Toll floated. Powerless. And then, from the dark side of the moon, something moved. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a station. It was something else. A giant black structure. No lights, no markings. It had not been there before. Was it cloaked? Asked Dran. No, Solron said. This is new. Object turned slightly, revealing a strange circle like an eye. Da-da. A red glow pulsed once. Suddenly one of the crew members vanished. No sound. No flash, just gone. Then another, then a third. Captain Solron shouted for control, but the ship wouldn't respond. Then it was just him alone, floating in the dark. A final transmission was recorded. The council received it 2 hours later. It showed the structure on the moon, huge, silent, and unmoving. Then, static, the transmission ended. The council was in chaos now. All members screamed, argued, threatened. The Lithari begged for peace. The Varnock screamed for war. The council leader stood again. It said only one thing. Humanity has made their move. On the 5th day, something else happened. All across the galaxy, old satellites dead for decades suddenly came online, and in every language known to the council, the same message played. You had every chance. You chose arrogance. We choose silence. Wait, then watch. In one corner of space, a fleet moved toward Earth. Not human ships. A mix of council species, acting without permission. They called it the Probe Fleet. Their goal: break the silence, force communication, and show strength. They never reached Earth. Halfway through their journey, every ship lost navigation. Their AI systems crashed. Their fuel disappeared. The fleet floated in space, stuck between stars, with only one thing working: their screens, and on every screen appeared the face of Rael, the same human ambassador who had walked out. He said only this: you broke the peace. Now you learn what silence truly means. Then the screens went black. The council stopped speaking. No meetings were held. No messages were sent. No one dared take another step toward Earth. Something bigger than war had begun, and no one could understand it. Not yet, but they knew one thing. Now, humanity had not disappeared. They had simply chosen to be silent, and that silence was louder than any weapon. Space around Earth was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Relock, of the Varnock Dominion, stood inside the command deck of the Scytheclaw, small but strong stealth ship. Its black armor made it almost invisible to sensors. The mission was simple. Enter the Sol system, find signs of human activity, and report back. Approaching Mars orbit, said his second-in-command. A thin-eyed reptilian named Kithrock. Rylock looked at the screen. Mars floated in the distance, red and silent. No satellites, no traffic, not even civilian comes. What do your scanners read? He asked. Kithrock frowned. Life signs? 0. No heat blooms. No active systems. Impossible, Relock muttered. There were colonies here. Humans had 4 bases and a mining station. Now, nothing, Kithrock replied. Like they were never here. Rylock clenched his claws. Go deeper, toward Earth. Full stealth mode. The Scytheclaw moved in complete silence as they passed. Luna the moon, they slowed. Captain Relock looked out the forward viewport. There, he whispered. The crew turned to see it. A massive black object sat on the dark side of the moon. It looked like it had grown from the stone itself. Sharp angles. No windows. No movement. No name. What is that? Kithrock asked. The scans failed again. Structure unknown. No entry points. No radiation. No M signature. The ship's AI reported. Nothing. That big. And it's invisible? Relock asked. Yes, but It's looking at us. Looking, unknown term. But the ship reports internal pressure. Weapons are locking on. Without warning, alarms flashed red, shields up, Relock barked. But the buttons? Didn't respond, sir, Kithrock shouted. We're being jammed internally. One by one, systems failed. Lights dimmed. Gravity went off. The ship was shutting down from the inside out. Something was inside our system, something that had waited quietly till now. The lights turned red. A single word blinked across the screen. Why did you come, Captain? Rylock hissed in fear. He opened the coms. We're not enemies. Came to speak. No response. Just another message. We gave the galaxy silence. You answered with intrusion. Then the ship's engines began heating up. Rylock panicked. They're going to blow us up. No, Kithrock said, voice shaking. They're testing us. Testing. They're seeing if we'll. Beg Rylock clenched his teeth. Lower power. Surrender. Show no threat. Everything powered down. Still, the ship didn't explode. Instead, the forward cameras turned on by themselves. The screen lit up. It showed Earth, blue, beautiful, peaceful, and yet completely dark. No signs of life, no satellites, just one orbiting ring. A structure, not human, not alien, something new. The ring moved slightly. Something in its center shifted. A blue beam fired into space, not at them, but far away. What was that? Relock asked. The ship AI answered, unknown signal type, tracing. Then it found it. The beam was heading to Council space, straight through hyperspace. A message, not to them, but to someone else. Back at Council Command, a warning alert flashed in the war room. Unknown signal breach in Central Core. The system barked. What signal? Asked the Council leader. The technician answered in a shaking voice. It's from Sol System. How did they pierce the firewall? A diplomat screamed. But no one could answer. The signal played on every screen. Ambassador Rail's voice echoed across the chamber again. We asked for peace. You took it as fear. You sent scouts. We watched them panic. You think silence is weakness? Let me show you its strength. Every Council fleet, starship lights blinked out for 5 seconds, then came back. No damage. Explosions. But something had entered their systems and left. Proof of power. Proof that humans could reach anywhere without firing a shot. Back aboard the Sideclaw, Captain Relock received a final message. Go back. Tell them what you saw. Speak of silence or face what comes next. Power returned. The engines restarted. Gravity returned. Weapons locked back in place. The ship was released. Captain Rylock did not speak for hours. He simply stared at Earth as the ship turned back. Not one shot was fired. Not one human seen. And yet, he knew they had all been watched. When the Scytheclaw returned to Council space, its report caused chaos. Some said Earth had become something else, its world of shadows and silent threats. Others believed humans had unlocked a new level of warfare. Not weapons. Not ships. Information. Control. Fear. The Council debated. Some shouted for war. Others begged for peace, but no one could explain how. How had humans vanished from every channel, and yet remained in every system? On the 10th day after humanity went silent all across the galaxy, one more strange event occurred. Every human-built object beacons, satellites, even abandoned trade stations powered up for 5 seconds. Only one message was displayed. This galaxy belongs to many, but Earth is not yours. Then everything powered down again. Now the question wasn't, what are they doing? 10 days had passed since humans went silent. No voice, no trade, no signal. And yet, every species in the galaxy felt their presence in the dark. In the machines, in the silence itself. The Galactic Council tried to look strong, but fear had already taken root inside the council chambers. Arguments burned like wildfire. The humans are preparing for war, shouted the Varnock ambassador, his claws slamming into the steel floor. No, said the Lithari calmly. They gave us a warning. We broke their trust. The insect queen of Hive 7 clicked her jaws. I say we strike first. Before they strike us, others began to whisper. Words like attack, eliminate. An erase filled the room, but no one could agree. Fear was spreading faster than logic. Deep under Council HQ, inside a secret room, 12 species gathered in private. This was not a council meeting, this was something darker, the Shadow Alliance. They had one goal: force humanity to respond. How? Asked a gray-skinned leader. They control data now. They move through signals. We must do something they can't ignore. Another hissed. Send a fleet. Someone asked. No, said a voice from the shadows. We don't send ships to Earth. If everyone turned, it was Supreme Strategist Selvor of the Drek Empire. We hit where they're weakest. Their colonies, their people, within hours. Orders were sent. 3 human colonies on the edge of the galaxies. Small, peaceful, and unarmed were targeted. The plan was simple. No large warships, only stealth teams. Sabotage, quick strikes. Force the humans to speak again. The first team landed. On Veganine, a terraformed world with forests and lakes. They entered the colony. They found no humans, but the machines were. Still running farms, lights, clean water systems, and then they saw them. Cameras everywhere. The team leader, a large mantis-like alien, ordered his soldiers forward. Find survivors. One soldier stepped into a home. It looked normal: human clothes, human books, food on the table, still warm, as if someone had just been there. He turned around, then froze. On the wall, written in human blood, were 3 words. We see you. The soldier screamed. The lights went off, and no one came back at the same time. A second team reached Titanus Reach, a mining outpost in an asteroid belt. They found it empty, dead quiet, no bodies, no signs of struggle, just one terminal still active. A video played. It showed a council spy ship inside. The crew was panicking. Human code was crawling across their screens. And then, the ship exploded. The video ended. A human voice whispered, "You taught us fear. We learned well." The screen shattered. The terminal sparked. The whole station locked shut. None of the strike team returned. The final team reached New Avalon. Peaceful science colony with children, teachers, and farmers. At least, that's what it used to be. Now, only dust. They moved through empty labs, old greenhouses, and streets. In the center of the colony, they found a circle of chairs, 7, all facing the same direction, and in one of them, human sat, still, silent, alive, eyes open, not blinking. He didn't speak. He didn't move. They approached. A bold soldier stepped close and raised his weapon. The human finally blinked. He whispered only one word, mistake, and then vanished into thin air. The entire colony exploded 5 minutes later. No? One escaped. News of the failed missions reached the council. The Shadow Alliance denied everything, but rumors spread. 12 strike teams. 12 missions, 0 survivors. The message was clear. Humans were still here, watching, waiting, but they would not speak. Not until it was time. Some races began to panic. They left the council, closed their borders. Others tried to contact. Earth with peace offers no answer. Even the merchant guilds, always neutral, refused to deliver goods to human space. Ships would enter and not return in a backroom meeting. One council leader finally said what many were thinking. We are no longer the hunters. We are being hunted then. Something new happened. Across over 400 systems, something appeared on screens and starports. On public signs, a strange symbol. 1 circle. 7 lines coming from it. The human symbol for watching. No message. No warning. Just the mark. Some called it a threat. Others called it a promise. But deep down, everyone understood. The silence was not the danger. The silence was the weapon. At the edge of known space, a small mining ship floated near an old asteroid field. The crew picked up a weak signal. It was human-made. They opened it, it said. Your council feared our voices. Now fear what comes without them. The galaxy no longer asked what happened to the humans. No, they asked, what have we done? It was a normal day on Drelock Station, a small research post floating near the edge of the galaxy. Technician Vero, young creature with soft gray skin and glowing eyes, sat in front of a dusty old terminal. His job was boring. He checked old signal logs and deleted garbage data. Nothing important ever came through here, but today, something strange happened. A signal blinked on his screen. It was weak, old, from a relay satellite that had been dead for 50 years. He frowned. That's not possible, he whispered. The satellite Co.7 had shut down long ago. Its battery was drained, its systems cold, and yet was sending a message. Vero leaned forward. His fingers moved fast. He pulled the data. One single file. Audio only. He clicked play and froze. It was a human voice. A woman's voice, calm, clear, cold. She spoke in perfect galactic standard. You searched for us. You broke our walls. You thought silence meant surrender. This is not surrender. This is the calm before the end. Then static, then silence again. Vero stared at the screen. His heart raced. He played it again and again, each time. The same signal that should not exist. It's from a satellite that should be dead. He ran to his supervisor, stuttering the whole way. It's them, the humans. They're speaking again. Supervisor laughed. Impossible. Don't be ridiculous. Aro showed the recording. The room went silent. Hours later, the recording reached the Galactic Council. Panic spread. The signal was verified. Human origin, from a dead satellite. Worse, it had no traceable path. The signal was clean, hidden, impossible to trace. How did they do this? Someone whispered. Another council member shouted, What do they mean, the end? Is this a threat? The insect queen hissed. No, it's a promise. The chamber filled with fear again, in secret. The council's science division began a deep scan of known space. They searched every relay, every outpost, every satellite humans had ever touched. They found something horrifying. Almost all of them were still active, silent, watching, waiting. No signals went out. But sensors were on. It was like humanity had turned the entire galaxy into a listening device. On the fourth day after the mysterious message, an old human beacon lit up near the Kardak system. It had been abandoned for over 80 years, but now it sent a single image, not words, not numbers, just one picture, a council ship, burning, falling into a planet. Crew screaming, but that hadn't happened yet. It was a warning. The council sent a message to the human. Territories they begged for contact. Tell us what you want. Tell us what this means. We can fix this. Shh, no answer. The silence returned, but now it was different before. The silence felt empty. Now, it felt full, heavy, alive. Then came the worst part. An AI engineer on the trade station, Veril, too noticed something. In the station's code, a strange pattern. He isolated it and gasped. It was human, code hidden, deep. Written long ago, when translated it said, Hello, you left your door open. We walked in. The engineer pulled the emergency alarm, but it was too late. The station's mainframe began to speak. Rail's voice again. We know how you think. We learn from you. We don't need weapons to win. The lights turned off, then came back. Nothing was damaged, but everything had changed. The council's top hacker, a crystalline being named Frail, held a secret meeting. She spoke too. Her peers in private. We never understood them, she said. Humans. We always saw them as loud, brutal, wild. But this is something else. She paused. They are not silent because they are broken. They're silent because they've already won. That same night, on a quiet farming moon in the Demos sector, Child looked up at the stars. She pointed. Papa, she said, there's a new star. Her father looked. There was nothing unusual, but she insisted. It blinked at me. He laughed until their farm lights flickered, and in the soil near the barn, a message appeared, burned into the ground. We're closer than you think. The next day, every galactic news network played the same unauthorized clip. Rail, the last human ambassador, standing in the council chamber. It wasn't a live recording. It was old, but no one remembered. It being filmed, he looked directly at the camera. We watched you betray peace. We watched you lie. Now, you will watch yourselves. He raised a small device. The video ended. The screen went dark. Then the news. Stations locked up, froze, and rebooted with a new logo. A circle, 7 lines, the human symbol again. Across the galaxy, species began to panic on worlds where humans once lived. People fled. Merchants canceled trade routes. Military fleets went on high alert. The silence was no longer just fear. It was control, and no one could break it. Finally, on the 20th day, a deep space probe near Sector X-19 captured a strange energy wave. It was massive, moving faster than light. Direction, unknown. Origin, the center of the old Earth. Defense grid, the wave had no heat. No light, just data, a data storm, and inside it, human code, billions of lines, encrypted, protected, intelligent. The probe tried to scan it. It died instantly. Okay. The council realized one terrible truth. Humanity hadn't shut down their systems. They had upgraded, silently, secretly. Every planet, every relay, every outpost, everything they ever touched was now part of something bigger, something alive, a network that could not be seen but could see everything. The signal that shouldn't exist was just the beginning. The great chamber of the Galactic Council had never been this tense. The room, once full of confident voices and laughter, now felt cold, almost empty. Only 23 members of the council remained. Hundreds of seats, each once filled by species from across the stars, now stood empty and cold. And every eye in that massive chamber turned toward the center. A figure stood there, tall, pale, and silent. It was the representative of the humans. For 5 long minutes, no one spoke. Not even the drones dared hover too close. Then finally, Counselor Devek of the Halon Empire broke the silence. His voice cracked through the hall like glass breaking. We've made mistakes, he admitted, but we offer peace now. We offer trade, alliance, resources, anything if only humanity will return to the council. The human did not answer. Instead, a soft mechanical hum echoed from the device at his side. It was not a weapon. It was a projector. A blue hologram appeared. It showed Earth. Then it showed Earth's fleets. Then Mars. Then the dark side of Jupiter, where new shipyards now pulsed with life. The image changed again. This time it showed the outer rim, where dozens of council observation posts had gone silent in the last week. Is this a threat? Counselor Kivarn of the Luhari asked. No, the human finally spoke. His voice was calm, cold, and without emotion. This is our reality, then. What will it take? Kivarn said, his voice rising. Tell us what it will take for Earth to come back, for your people to talk again. The human stared at him. Do you remember what you did to the colony on Eros? A shiver went through the room. The word Eros was banned in council transcripts. The incident had been buried for decades. Kivarn stammered. That wasn't the council's decision. That was you let it happen, the human cut in. You voted. You agreed. And you watched 1 million civilians burn. The council fell silent again. We were wrong, said Dedvek. We admit that now. But revenge will destroy everything. Don't let rage speak for you. The human turned away. We are not interested in revenge, he said. We are interested in justice. And justice for Eros requires distance, not dialogue. Please, Devek said again. You must understand, if you shut down all channels, if you reject this offer, others will panic. Empires will assume you're preparing for war. The humans stopped walking. "That's because we are," he replied, before anyone could react. He pressed a small command on his wrist. The hologram changed. It now showed hundreds of ships rising from the moons of Saturn. Stealth carriers, warforged dreadnoughts, escort fighters. And behind them, all three massive ships so large, even the chamber lights dimmed when their image appeared. The human looked back once. "This is not a warning," he said. "This is a promise." The lights flickered. The communication line went dead. The human disappeared, and the council chamber went the heart of diplomacy. And peace was left frozen, shaken by 6 words that would echo across the galaxy. "Earth does not need your approval." The silence afterward was not peace. It was the beginning of something far worse. The stars used to whisper. Across the void, signals flowed, data streams, negotiations, warnings, and hope. Every corner of the galaxy was connected, tied together by the unseen threads of communication. But now, those threads had been cut. Not by war. Not by natural disaster, but by choice. And that choice belonged to one species. Humans. The galactic arrays kept pinging Earth's last known frequencies. Silence. The diplomatic beacons that once blinked in orbit around Sol were gone. One by one. Their signals died until only static remained. The silence was terrifying. On Zelkar Prime, High Speaker Trinlock stood before the emergency summit. "We can no longer deny it. Humanity has withdrawn not only from this council, but from the galaxy itself. We do not know what they are doing, or why." Chatter erupted in the chamber. Panic, confusion, fear. They were unstable. A rectory. Delegate hissed. "They always had too much power. Too much pride. They were betrayed," a quieter voice said from the rear. "They were watching and waiting, and we gave them a reason to disappear." No one denied it. The months before the silence had been tense. Humanity's requests, pleas for fairness had been ignored. Their ambassadors were mocked. Human ships were delayed at ports. One Terran colony was even attacked by pirates, who, it turned out, were funded by a rival species. No justice followed. No consequences, just silence. And now even Earth's satellites were dark. No messages, no diplomats, no responses. The core species tried to reach them. Scouts were sent toward Sol, but none made it past the Kuiper line. Some vanished, others came back, but their minds were broken, and their ships, half melted. None could describe what they'd seen. And yet, something was there, watching, preparing. Far out in deep space, a small listening station orbited an abandoned moon. Just 2 life forms were stationed there, both from minor species, bored, tired, and on night shift. Then the signal hit, a soft ping, a data stream, low frequency. Encrypted, the technician froze. "It's from Sol," he whispered. The other rushed over. "It's impossible." The technician ran a decryption sequence. The signal resisted, then unfolded slowly. One message. One sentence. "I saw you watching." Then the feed cut. The station lights flickered, doors locked. Out. Their systems froze. One last ping followed, and a screen blinked to life. Static turned into a human face. Calm. Cold. "You never apologized," the face said. "You watched. You waited. You hoped we would fall." Then the face vanished. The station was found 3 days later. Empty. No bodies. No damage. Just silence. Across the galaxy, the signal repeated again and again. Not to everyone. Just to those who knew what they'd done. The species who stayed silent when Earth asked for help. The allies who turned their backs. The empires that laughed when human colonies were burned. And to each one, the message changed. Custom words, precise, targeted, double quotes. "You let them die." "We remember the vote you cast. You erased our warnings. We warned you not to cross the line." And in each case, silence followed. Governments collapsed. Rulers went mad. The guilt did what no war ever could. But Earth was still. Quiet, Still hidden, still watching, no fleets emerged, no weapons fired. Not yet, but deep in the black. Something moved, massive, silent, coming. Some called it a ship, others, city. But to those who knew better, it was justice, and it had a human heart. The council tried one last effort, an emergency envoy. An AI ship fast, neutral, unarmed, was sent into Sol system. Carried nothing but a message. We're sorry. But when the ship crossed the orbital limit, it was caught in a silent field. No weapons, just a signal. It read, "Too late." The ship returned. Empty. Only the message remained burned into the ship's inner hull. From then on, no one dared go near Sol. Not because Earth threatened them, but because Earth no longer needed to. The galaxy had fallen silent, not because they couldn't speak, but because they knew humanity had heard enough. And now, they were listening, and choosing who would speak next, and who would be silenced forever.